Hey guys, so for today's video, I am so excited. The other day, Saturday morning to be exact, I was just randomly trying to browse some video ideas and I came up with a bunch of awesome ones. But the first one that popped into my head was, Amy, you need to just go ahead and compare the Huda Beauty with the Fenty foundation because I have been getting messages and messages and messages, everything from Snapchats to tweets to comments asking me, which one do you prefer? Which one do I buy? Like, so many of you guys want my opinion on which I prefer, but also which one you guys should buy. So I was like, you know what? We need to just like go ahead and test them. I think I already know. Like, I know which one I love more, but I kind of just want to really see them side by side so that you guys can decide. And we're going to go over the differences, the similarities, and we're also going to do a wear test. I'm going to wear it today for at least 8 hours. We'll see how long I can wear it for, but at least 8 hours. So you guys can see which one lasts, which one holds up, which one gets oilier first. Now, I just quickly want to say, when I thought of this idea Saturday morning, I went ahead and browsed it on YouTube and I saw that there already are some videos up comparing these two. A lot of people are really comparing these two, so I'm not saying I came up with the idea or anything like that. I'm just saying I randomly had the thought from so many of you guys asking me, so I'm really excited to finally be able to compare it for you guys. So this is the Huda Beauty #Faux Filter High Coverage Cream Foundation. By the way, I have individual first impression and wear tests on both of these foundations individually. I will link that down below if you guys want to see it. They're awesome videos. I have this one in the shade 340G Baklava. I wanted to quickly update you guys on the shade. I mentioned this on the vlog channel, but I did pick up another shade. This is the shade I originally wanted. When I had seen the swatches go viral online of all the foundation swatches, I immediately looked at Baklava and I was like, that's my shade. Like, I just could tell. But then it was sold out, so I ended up purchasing Dulce de Leche, which you guys saw me test out in the first impressions. But I noticed afterwards in natural lighting, like if you stand in front of the sun, it was a smidge bit too peachy for my undertone. I needed something a smidge bit more brown. So Baklava is more of a golden undertone. And then we have the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. So they both market themselves to be like that soft matte, filter, super smoothing, long wearing foundation. And they both are marketed to be very high full coverage. I have my Fenty in the shade 290, which is marketed as a neutral olive undertone. So let's go over packaging quickly. I do personally love more the packaging on the Fenty just because it's the beautiful frosted glass and it just feels so luxe. And you guys know I love the white. I do really like the packaging on the Huda Beauty too. You guys just know I'm not a fan of the plastic, but they both have pumps, which I really love. So let's quickly go over prices and also how much you get in each. So the Huda Beauty is $40 US, and you actually get 35 milliliters, 1.18 fluid ounce, which is actually really good because normally in foundations, I believe you like the standard amount is 1 fluid ounce. For the Fenty, it is $34 US, and you get you get a little bit more than the standard amount too. You get 1.08 fluid ounce. So I am going to prime the skin. So I thought really long and hard about this. I'm like, Amy, do you use the matching Huda primer and then the matching Fenty primer? You know, like with each of them. But then I'm like, no, because we're testing out the foundation, not the primers. We're just testing out the foundation, and I'm just gonna use the same primer all over my face as I normally would in my normal makeup routine. So I am just gonna use the Huda Beauty Complexion Perfection Pre-Makeup Base, just because I've been testing this one out, and I actually really like this. I know my initial reaction was meh about it, but I actually really like this. So I am just going to take 2 pumps only of this. The thing with this primer is you don't need much of it. 2 pumps is even, you know, a bit much. I could have even put just 1.5. So both of these foundations are marketed to be super full coverage. So what I'm gonna do is use 1 pump of each. Now we gotta keep in mind that 1 pump of this might be more than 1 pump of this. I do find that 1 pump of the Huda is like a large pump. So we're just gonna do 1 pump on the back of the hand and really just see, you know, how 1 pump looks of each. So this is 1 pump of the Huda. And we're gonna do 1 pump of the Fenty. Yeah, so 1 pump of the Fenty, I'm gonna do this quickly because the Fenty is so runny. 1 pump of the Fenty is less than the Huda. So I feel like I'm just gonna go ahead and add another half because it just wouldn't be fair. Now the Fenty dries really fast, so we're gonna go ahead and work with that one first. I am gonna be using a beauty blender, and I am just going to dab it all over. When you work with the Fenty one, you do need to kind of apply it on the back of your hand first or something. If you apply it straight to the face, you can do that, but you might want to work with half of your face first because it dries very fast. So there is the Fenty, very easy to apply. I do feel like I need a little bit more, but we're gonna keep it at that, and then we'll try just one pump of the Huda. I am gonna use the other side, the clean side of the Beauty Blender. Oh, and I just realized I fully won't need the entire pump of the Huda because I used an entire pump and a half on my whole face. So I am only gonna use half of the amount that I put, which would be half a pump. Okay, so there we have it, guys. We have half a pump of the Huda foundation because I still have a lot there, and then a pump and a half of the Fenty. So I think it's pretty clear that the Huda foundation is fuller coverage than the Fenty, and it also is more matte, I will say. The Huda foundation has just a little bit more of a healthy finish to it, whereas the Fenty one, it definitely looks a little bit drier. The Fenty side feels lighter weight, like it feels more weightless, it feels more like my skin, like it feels like I'm wearing nothing. Whereas the Huda one, you know, you feel like you're wearing foundation a little bit. Nothing that would make me say, oh, this feels so heavy, but you feel that it's there. I do think I need a little bit more of the Fenty, so I am going to apply a little bit more because it's just not as full coverage. The Huda one is looking a little bit slightly cakey over here, just slightly. Again, it doesn't bother me. But the Fenty one is very like just smooth, flawless. And I think that could be due to the fact that the Huda one is a cream foundation, whereas the Fenty is a liquid and it's just more runny, it's more lightweight, it's more thin. You know, the Huda one is just thicker, a little bit of a thicker foundation. If anything, I feel like my pores look a little bit better on this side than they do on this side, but I feel like they look identical, right? Also, we need to take note that my forehead is clearly having a very dry day. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but we're just gonna have to ignore that once we like do the wear test part. If we notice any weird stuff going on up there, it's clearly my forehead is just, you know, being weird today. It's just super dry. I probably need to really exfoliate that area. So I am gonna go ahead and do the rest of my makeup, and I will pop back on camera for you guys and do like the first little wear test check-in. I did forget to show you guys that it was 10:30 when I started filming. It's now 10:50, but I started filming this demo, I think it was 10:27, you know, whatever, 10:30. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my makeup and I will pop back on camera for you guys. Okay, so I just finished up my makeup and the products applied the same really on both sides. By the way, it is now 12:10, so it's been an hour and a half, I believe. The forehead, you know, we're gonna ignore my dry ass forehead today. That's what we're gonna do, okay guys? Because I clearly need to like exfoliate that. I get that sometimes where I have a very dry forehead and sometimes it's just like extremely bad, and there's just nothing you can do about it. So it's not the products. I assure you it is not the products. It's just, it's me. It's not you, it's me. So we're gonna ignore that, but I will say that the forehead looked drier. I don't know if you guys noticed, it looked drier on the Fenty side. And that's just because I think that the Fenty is a pretty dry, super, I don't know why it's called soft matte, because to me it's ultra matte. So I feel like if you have even the slightest bit of dry skin, it's not gonna be your favorite. I have kind of like normal / combo skin with a very oily T-zone. I did set this foundation how I normally would, which is just using the Fenty blotting powder. So I did just want to get a little bit closer up for you guys so you can see kind of how the look looks once my entire makeup is done. So far, in my opinion, the Huda side just looks a little bit healthier on the skin just because it has a little bit of that creaminess. It's not quite as ultra matte as the Fenty is. So we're gonna come check back in a few hours and see how these two foundations are doing. Okay, so it is now 4 o'clock right on the dot and we are checking in. This would make it 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. 5.5 hours. That took me so long to count. You guys, I am so bad at math. Anyways, it's been 5.5 hours. And here is how we are looking so far. It looks really good, right? Like these foundations are so long wearing. I feel like it looks really good. Again, I'm just noticing the same thing as before. It does look a little bit like oily and cakey on the Huda side around the nose. But other than that, like the rest of my face on the Huda side, it doesn't look oily at all. Again, I have a soft box on this side of my face, so that's my highlight that you're seeing. Other than that, like I don't look oily at all. For the nose, as you can see, I am not that oily on the Fenty side. But other than that, I don't notice any separation, any blotchiness, any patchiness. A lot of the times my oils just eat up foundations and they will disappear. I want to just get extremely close just for those of you who want to see how it looks very close up after a full 6 hours. So it's now 8 o'clock and we've been wearing this foundation for, if you want to be exact, 9.5 hours, but pretty much sum it up, it's been 10 hours. So I am looking pretty oily, I'm not gonna lie. I do have some blotting sheets here because I want to see which foundation is more oily. I do think I am oilier on the Huda side, especially over here on the nose and just on this like cheek area. I am not as oily over here, but I am actually a little bit oily on the Fenty side. I'm actually surprised by that. I thought the Fenty would have barely any oils because at the 8-hour mark on my Fenty Beauty Wear test and just what I've noticed with the Fenty Beauty, at the 8-hour mark, I barely have like a drop of oil, like the tiniest amount. But I think that was to do with using a mattifying primer with the Fenty. So if you use a mattifying primer with these foundations, you can expect obviously to have less oils. But because I did use the Huda primer, which is just more of a moisturizing primer, obviously you can't expect to use a moisturizing primer and, you know, not and have your oils be controlled. And I also didn't use a loose setting powder. So I feel like for using a hydrating primer, and for not like really heavily setting it, I just put the tiniest light amount of the Fenty Universal Pressed Powder. So for only doing that, I feel like it looks pretty good. So I do notice the foundation wore off a little bit over here and a little bit over here, but it's perfectly worn off in the area where I kind of do this. So it did transfer, you know, because I was like editing, so I was sitting there on my laptop and doing this and doing that. So I think that's more just due to like it transferring and rubbing off. Other than that, I don't notice any patchiness, any wearing off. Normally by now my oils would like eat a foundation and it would just all like separate and you would see patches. But no, it's still on there, it still looks good. So let's go ahead and do the blotting sheet test and let's see which one is oilier. I'm just gonna pat it in equal amount of times. Ooh, okay. This might be kind of gross, but we're doing it. So they seem to be almost equally as oily, except this one is like a tiny bit less. Oh, and I noticed that with the Huda foundation, when I went to go blot it, it did remove some of the foundation. Whereas when I went to go blot the Fenty, the foundation is still there. My main problem area is just like the nose area. So to be fair, both of the foundations look amazing everywhere else. It's just on the nose, the Fenty definitely looks better on the nose than the Huda does because it's just more matte. So next I'm gonna take the sheets and put them right on the cheek. And let's see. Okay, so here we are. So again, same amount of oiliness, and actually the foundation didn't transfer on either sides. So you know we gotta end off with an extreme close-up after 10 hours so I can really show you guys. I should have done this before I blotted, but whatevs, I'm sure you guys get the point. As you can see, this foundation looks absolutely flawless. Like both of them look very flawless on the skin, even after all this time. You can see that it did wear off a little bit here and here because I was telling you guys that I was, you know, resting on my hand a little bit. So overall, I think when you're choosing between these two foundations, it really just comes down to personal preference and skin type. So the question is, which do I prefer and which one do I love the most? I would say I love the Huda. I just love this foundation because it just looks really healthy when you first apply it, and it still looks super healthy now. And really when it comes to it being super oily on the nose, that would be the only downfall. But what I would do to prevent that is just use a mattifying primer with it on that area and just really set the nose and maybe kind of bake it with some loose powder. 10 hours and it still looks amazing. I also love just how flawless and filtered my pores look. I really love this foundation, but I do like the Fenty one too. My only thing with the Fenty that stops it from being like a holy grail top fave of mine is that it is very drying. When I first apply it, I do feel a little bit dry and I hate that feeling. What I love having the Fenty for is I love mixing the Fenty in with other foundations. If I want my foundation to last longer that day, I know that I can always pull this guy and count on it because this is so long wear. If you have extremely oily skin, you need this guy. And even with this, if you have extremely oily skin, you're gonna love this too. Like, as you guys could see, I was a little bit oily, but use a mattifying primer, use a loose heavy duty setting powder, you're gonna be good to go. So that is it for this video, you guys. I really hope that I helped you guys kind of see the differences, see the similarities, and make a choice on which one to purchase. If you own both of these foundations and you've tried both of them, let me know in the comment section below which is your favorite. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys. Mwah.